Well, that was not the game we were looking for to finish out this series. What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back and welcome in to the Seattle Mariners post game recap. The Mariners are blown out this afternoon after a lengthy rain delay, 10-1 against the Minnesota Twins. They fall to 41-39 on the season. Before I go any further, as always, if you can like the video, comment your thoughts on the team and the game down below. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you are new or lurking to the channel. Yeah, just kind of a disaster today. Emerson Hancock wasn't terrible, wasn't great either necessarily, but kept them in the game. Zach Pop had probably one of the worst innings pitched I've ever seen. Trent Thornton held that crown in Arizona a couple weeks ago, but that's been passed. The torch has been passed to Zach Pop. The offense struggles against a pitcher they should have done better against today. And they come away with a split that, listen, perception can matter. Sometimes your sequencing can matter, right? Had the Mariners lost the first two games and won the last two, psychologically, we would feel better about the series, right? You go, hey, they bounce back, they split. Split isn't the worst thing here in Minnesota necessarily, but a few things are happening, right? First of all, they could have won the series. They had two games to just find a way to pull one of them out, go 500 over a two-game set, and you get out of here winning 3 out of 4. Losing to Joe Ryan yesterday, it happens. Ryan's a really good pitcher. Simeon Woods Richardson has not been very good this year. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to put up 1 or 2 runs against him. So that makes it frustrating. We talked about the Mariners holding that third wild card spot, which is nice. I will take a postseason appearance if that ends up happening. But the division is slipping away. I mean, Houston is just refusing to lose. I think they gave up 1 run in a 3-game set to a good Phillies offense. And you still play Houston 6 or 7 more times. I'm not sure the exact number. But, you're getting to a point where it's just not going to matter. Even if you think the Astros and Mariners aren't that far apart, the Mariners are 6.5 games back, right? Yeah, they're 6.5 games back now. So they're going to have to be substantially better than Houston. Now, if they can get that to 3-4, you play them 6 times, you win 4, you get down to 2, you can, chip away at other ways. There's opportunities. But, I mean, it's starting to get to a point where the division is like hey, if you happen to get back into it, great. But it kind of feels over a little bit. Yes, the Mariners blew a 10-game lead last year in the division, but that's the Mariners. Houston has won the AL West, 8 years in a row or something like that, and a team like that deserves the benefit of the doubt. Again, when the Seahawks were at the top of their game, the Mariners haven't won a lot of division titles, so it's hard to use them as an example. They deserve the benefit of the doubt because we knew that team could come through late in the season to make a rally. If the Mariners had won the division 7 years in a row, I'd probably be a little bit more like, take care of business against Houston, you'll get back in it. They can do that for sure, but it's hard to kind of have that mentality when we've just not seen this team do it. It's hard to have that belief in this team to be able to do that. So even though the Mariners aren't playing terrible baseball, and that today was terrible, I mean, they're 8-5 over the last 13, but they have lost ground. And it's frustrating because I don't know if it was last year, 2 years ago, I've talked about it a bunch, but there was a stretch where Mariners win, Houston win, Mariners lose, Houston lose, and they just could not gain any ground whatsoever. And it just kind of feels like you're in that mode right now, just constantly, losing ground to Houston. So, and listen, the wild card is fine. You get in, you've got a chance. But it's an avenue that is just an avenue to get to postseason baseball that is slowly slipping away from you here. So, that makes it all the more frustrating. Some news, Mitch Garver left the game with an injury. It looked like jaw or chin or something. He's being evaluated. Harry Ford was removed from the game in Tacoma, or scratched, I should say, from the game in Tacoma. He is on his way to Texas, or I think the Mariners were in Texas, I think the Rainiers were in Texas. He's on his way to the Rangers ballpark for tomorrow. No word yet on the roster move, at least for now. It could be a taxi squad move. Tough when a catcher gets hurt, because even if Garver's going to miss like the series in Texas, you have to make a roster move to get another catcher up. So they've got to be very careful with that. It's not like a relief pitcher where they can wait last minute. So we'll see. We may be getting the Harry Ford debut in Texas, which would be fun. Of course, it happens when Mitch Garver starts to hit a little bit, has the home run barrage in Chicago, had a double today. So, it figures that the one time some of these hitters get going, then they get hurt. But that could be, obviously not, you don't want Mitch Garver to be injured, but some potential exciting stuff for the Mariners. I think there's at bats for Harry Ford to catch, play against left-handed pitching and even occasionally play against right-handed pitching as well. But we'll get into that, once that move officially happens. But I mean, yeah, just a rough one today. One that, the Mariners, again, I don't want to say throw these games out because Mariners don't deserve to throw games out. If they were 51-29, then sure. But they're fighting for their lives. Like, each game matters. We don't expect them to win every single game, but they don't get to just throw one out either. This was a poor performance. And, I sat here the last 2 days and praised the offense. Hey, they're third in WRC plus. It's halfway through the year. They're actually good. And they go out in the last 2 games and score a total of 1 run. And it's just one of the frustrations with this team, right? Where, like, they look, there's no in between with the offense. And I think that's where critics of it get the most frustrated. They do look really good at times. This is clearly not a bad offensive baseball team by any means. The numbers back it up. But then they just go into these stretches where you're like, guys, come on a little bit. So, and it happens to every team, but it seems to be a Mariners MO. And then it seems to just spiral at times. I know I feel like I'm going back and forth. I do think it's a good offense. I'm just saying that the critics have some valid concerns when they criticize this offense. You can have all the data you want, but they do get into spurts like this against pitchers that they should hit, where you're just like, guys, come on, get a little something going here. So, I think that maybe is more frustrating. Zach Pop probably won't be here tomorrow, so that's an easy fix. He'll probably be released, DFA'd. You're probably going to have to do it just in general to get another arm up here. The good news is you're off to Texas now. They're playing better baseball. The offense has been better in June for them. Their pitching's been really solid, but you have to feel good with Logan Gilbert game 1, Brian Wu game 2. The offense can't be as bad as it was the last 2 games. My gosh, is that famous last words as a Mariners fan. So throw this out. Well, no, I just said don't throw it out. I'm lying to myself. You did split this series. It's not the end of the world that you split it. Frustrating that you won the first 2, lost the last 2. You're 4-3 on this road trip. Go to Texas. You've got your best 2 pitchers going game 1 and 2. Go win a series. Go win the series in Texas, and you finish up a 6-3 road trip that we would all take that. We would absolutely take, or excuse me, that'd be 6-4, excuse me. A really solid road trip for the Mariners. So, it's just, like I said, it's just frustrating that you felt you had an opportunity to win the series. And again, the sequencing too, right? If this was the first game of the series, yesterday was the second, they won the last 2, saying, hey, nice bounce back for the team. So another thing with the Mariners too is they seem to, we talk about the offense, right? It seems to kind of spiral. The team seems to do that a little bit. We're just, they lose it for a little bit and it just trickles down. Very important games coming up. Texas, Kansas City, next 6 are teams that are in the playoff race that are going to be chasing you for a wild card, or you're going to be chasing them, whatever happens, or whichever way it falls. So important 6 games here. You're not getting a day off either, right? You go to Texas, there's no day off today. And then you go to, then you come back home. Excuse me, Texas on the road, Kansas City's at home. So you don't have a day off in between there coming home. And then you don't even have a day off when Pittsburgh comes into town. And then you've got a really tough road trip with Detroit and the Yankees coming up. So very crucial set of games here. The Mariners have got to start doing some damage against teams. Texas is not a bad baseball team. Neither is Kansas City. You avoid DeGrom, which is huge. I think you're avoiding Skeens with the Pirates, which would be huge. If you're avoiding Paul Skeens, Pittsburgh is not a good baseball team. If you're facing Paul Skeens, they're still not good, but they can beat you 1-0 pretty easily. And then you face maybe the 2 best teams in the American League. The Mariners have got to, like I said, you've got 9 games here coming up. Maybe it's 10. I think Pittsburgh might be a 4 game because of the 4th of July. Or Kansas City is. I don't know. I think Kansas City is a 4-game series. But you've got to start doing damage. The split is okay, right? It doesn't kill you, but it's not helping you either. Winning in Chicago is good. That's a good series. but it's time for this team to really gain some ground and really just get the ball rolling if they're going to be a playoff team or, stay in playoff position. The Cleveland series is good, a sweep. It's kind of putting your foot on, the other team's neck a little bit. Not saying they have to sweep Texas, not saying they have to sweep Kansas City, but if that's 7 games, it'd be really nice to see this team have like a 6-1 stretch and get 6-7 games over 500. And then you get Pittsburgh. So the next 10 games would be really nice to see this team go 8-2. They need to have a stretch like that to really, one, I think get everybody kind of bought in a little bit more. And it's time for them to do some damage if they want to be a true contender. They're doing a lot of this, right? And that's why these series are frustrating because, like I said, for the 20th time, splitting against the Twins is not the end of the world. That's not a bad Twins team. They were going to get some wins eventually. It's fine. But that's just kind of the Mariners, right? It's fine. Be better. Go out there and start winning some series. Go to Texas and sweep, right? I'm not saying they're going to, but go in there and make a statement. Go in there and, I don't think it would put a nail in the Texas coffin, but it would be close to it, right? You'd probably end up being you're probably 2 games above Texas right now. You'd be 5 games above them. That's significant. So you have a chance here to really put some teams that are on your tail off your tail completely and do that. So let's see if the Mariners can pull that out. I'm not going to go over the box score too much here. It was a bad performance. 6 hits, 2 walks. The 1 run came in the 9th inning. I'm surprised they gave Mastroboni a hit for that, but whatever. Emerson Hancock wasn't great. 5 innings, only 3 hits, but 3 walks, 2 Ks, 2 runs, both on the Trevor Larnach home run. I mean, he was fine, gave you a chance to win this game, right? Like, you had an opportunity with that start to win it. So nothing terrible from Emerson Hancock. He kept you in the ballgame. Zach Pop, again, with probably the worst inning pitch of all time, gives up 7 earned runs. I guess there was an error in that inning. I don't remember who had it. Ben Williamson on the throw. That's right. It was still hit pretty hard. Thornton had a fine inning, but when you're down 10-0, I don't really keep track of it. It's like just get this game over with. Then Mastroboni with a shutout, 8th inning. So maybe Miles Mastroboni can fill that last bullpen spot, but I imagine Zach Pop will be DFA'd today. What was I thinking? I yelled Pop during the game. It was there any Seinfeld fans, that episode where George, he's meeting like an old friend and her dad works on cars and he's kind of losing it. He goes, "Oh yeah, your dad was always good on cars." And then pop, pop. And then he's driving and he hears the noise around and goes, "Pop." Anyways, that's kind of how I felt with Zach Pop this afternoon. So, losing the Emerson Hancock start, not the end of the world. I feel like I'm really repeating myself. I don't know, it's just, this team is tough. I don't know what to say sometimes because they are as, not trying to like put myself on a pedestal, but as like a content creator, teams like the Mariners are very difficult to talk about because they're just kind of average overall, right? 41-39. There's times they look really good. There's times they look really bad. There's series like this where you're kind of like, it's not terrible, but I'd like to see more. It would be easier, and I've said it before, to be a Rockies podcast. It would be frustrating as can be. There'd be a lot of, I just don't have any hope, but it would be very easy. I'd just be ripping the team every day, like the front office, the organization as a whole. The Mariners are just do enough to get you engaged and just do enough to pull you out of it too. So they can be a very frustrating team to talk about, as are most teams that hover around that 500 mark, because when you're a 500 team, Mariners are a little bit better than that, but when you're in that kind of mold, you can be, show signs of being really good, but also very frustrating and bad. I always laugh when you have really bad teams and announcers or analysts will say the team's inconsistent. I'm like, no, the Rockies are not inconsistent. They are very consistent. It's bad, but it's consistent. Teams like the Mariners are the inconsistent teams, in my opinion, because you just don't know what. And it really is, right? Like, I would not be shocked if they sweep the Rangers. I would not be shocked if they're swept by the Rangers. Yes, that's baseball as a whole. I mean, you could say about any series. But, right, like with the Mariners, you really do feel that. Would you be totally shocked if Logan Gilbert, Brian Wu, Luis Castillo, offense plays better, the Mariners go down to Texas and sweep the series? Nobody would be shocked by that. I know some, I'd be shocked. But it's not. It's not a crazy concept that could happen. But you go the other way, and Gilbert's getting babbipped a little bit, and the offense just we know how the offense gets, right? It gets cold for a little bit, it stays cold, and then the Rangers pitching dominates you. Their offense has been better. Simeon and Seager get into a couple long balls, and you lose the first two, and you get swept. We go, yeah, just inconsistent, so it really is a team like that we just don't know day in and day out. And as soon as I get excited, 2 days ago talking about, hey, I'm excited for Mariners baseball. They played two pretty terrible games back to back. So I guess if you take a step back, you say the road trip's been fine still. And then Houston winning, is frustrating. But the Mariners have got to worry about the Mariners, right now and find a way to get a W down in Texas tomorrow, one game at a time. So we'll see if Harry Ford's up. Hopefully they bounce back. Mariners were also 1-for-6 with runners in scoring position. Just not a lot of good today from the offense. Anybody have a decent game? Master Boney was 1-for-1. Randy just missed a home run and had a double. Solano had a hit and a walk. Cal walked. JP had a hit. Just nothing. Solano probably the only one that kind of did anything today. So, we'll see. We'll see if we get the Harry Ford debut tomorrow, and we'll see if they can bounce back in Texas. Channel members, I'll be live on Saturday for the play-by-play. So stop by, join, we'll hang out and talk some ball. Thank you, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe. Sorry, this video fell a little all over the place, but the Mariners are all over the place, so why wouldn't it be? Like, comment, subscribe, and as always, go Mariners.